What is up, RetroManiacs? Welcome to the Retro Card Chat Podcast. My name is Mike, and I am from Mike's Retro Trading Cards. And you know, I'm going to make a promise to all our viewers. We will not be on Whatnot with our shirts off, with cards laying all over our bodies, selling cards. I promise you this. You're going to have to pay extra if you want that. Welcome to episode 150 of this podcast. Wow. I am joined, as always, by the two best co-hosts in all of YouTube, Joe Day and EP Eric Pahalik. How you doing, boys?
150.
What
is the gift for 150? Like when your anniversary is 150, what's the gift?
Pack of 88 tops.
Oh, that's terrible.
I was gonna say paper. Paper would make sense, or cardboard. Wow, 150. We were just talking before we started recording. EP brought it up. I think Mike did too a couple weeks ago. Only missed one. Through 3 years of doing this so far, almost 3 years, only missed one podcast. That is wild. That is wild to think about.
It really is.
Mike, I wish you had talked to us about the intro ahead of time, because I was going to tell you guys that I launched a new Whatnot channel, and unfortunately, I can't fulfill what you said. Like I'm already there.
I'll edit that out.
Go check it out. Go check
the
it out.
Final version. Yeah, I won't be saying anything there, but yeah. But you're not making people pay for it. See, mine's on my special Discord where you have to pay for it. So
very special Discord.
While EP was making up that story about Whatnot, I Googled what an anniversary gift for 150 years is. There's nothing. Apparently, you'll be dead. Yeah.
I was going to say coffins, probably.
Yeah, coffins.
Well, we haven't been doing it 150 years.
That's fair.
We've been doing 150 episodes.
Oh, yeah, and when we talk about our 3-year anniversary here in a few weeks, we'll look at what 3 years is. That's okay. I'll start the research now.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, great.
How you doing, EP? What's new and exciting?
I listened to Jim Beckett's podcast, and he said something during the most recent episode. I think it's the most recent episode. He said that he wants collecting for his hobby to be more about skill and about luck. And I thought that was a really, really cool way to put it. And I feel like the episode we did was last week with the 5 things that good collectors do. Was that last week's show on Wednesday? I think it was. And I feel like that is kind of like what we were talking about. That entire show was just exactly that. So he kind of like summarized what we did there. So if you guys haven't checked that show on Wednesday, go check it out.
Can I ask what that means?
It just means that he wants the hobbying to be more of a skill than luck. He wants to so he's making smart decisions instead of just opening packs.
Okay. So basically what the majority of the hobby doesn't do.
Correct.
In current times. Yes. Because luck, it's like going to the casino, right? There's a skill to playing poker, but a lot of it's luck. There's no skill to going up to a roulette table, right? And that's exactly that's what collecting is nowadays. Going up to that roulette table, putting down a chunk of money and letting that ball spin, right?
You have a lot better odds on the roulette table.
Cards, yeah.
A lot
fair. The return on investment at the roulette table way better than opening up Ultramodern.
Yeah, isn't it like 49% or something if you play red or black?
Yeah.
So,
yep. Because of those damn 0 double zeros. Those greens will get you. The greens will get you.
They have to have something built in. They got to get their share.
So, boys, I'm going to pull back the curtain. It's not actually Monday morning. We don't know who won the Super Bowl. I mean, the refs know. Anyway, but it's Sunday, a couple hours before the Super Bowl. We are filming, and I said I'm taking off tomorrow, so I'm going to start getting fucked up. So I'm going to start off with a beer, and look at my koozie.
Oh wow!
You
like that?
That's pretty awesome.
Little communicating button. I'm set. So I'm going to open up.
How's that go again? Show us how the communicating button works. One more time.
It sounds just like it does on the show. That's
actually
great.
I'm not gonna lie. When Mike starts talking about backyard breaks today, I'm gonna go and get beamed out of here. But yeah, so I have a beer. You can see here. I'm not going to tell you where it's from. But yeah, I'm gonna crack one open for the Super Bowl. I'm rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles, as you can tell by my shirt. There are 3 Panthers playing for the Eagles. I'm going to root for that team. So here we go. I'm cracking one open. EP, you going to join me?
I am, yes. I didn't put any tape on mine to cover up anything. But I think covering up with the tape means that they pretty much know which one it is every time.
Sons of bitches.
They got to pay us. Joe with the language to start off the podcast.
I know. And I haven't even had a sip of alcohol. Mike, did you bring anything?
Not even an earmuff. No, I have a soda.
Oh. I thought you said you were going to get a drink. I thought when you said you were going to get a drink, I thought you meant a drink.
Why would you think that?
I don't know. It's you said your daughter was visiting, right? I assume whenever your kids visit, they just leave alcohol behind. So did she leave anything behind?
No.
No.
She doesn't. The boys do. Well, James does. Yeah.
Yeah.
James always has to go and get
He's
him
the good one.
beer. And, yeah, he leaves it there. Yeah. So
he's a good one.
I still have some left over from Christmas. I could have tapped into that.
Pause.
Yep.
Real quick before we get started again, I'm going to bring it up every week until it's either sold out or we're on top of it. Cheers break. Everyone interested? At most $135 for a spot in the break. You get the contents of a box that you draft. Should be a fun time. These 2 schmucks are in. We got some schmucks watching that are in. It should be a good time. So may have some giveaways for it too. So keep an eye out for that. But yes, should be good.
Are we eligible for the giveaway?
Yeah, you bought into the break. You're eligible.
Yeah. We better win, right, EB?
Yeah, definitely.
If you win, though, you're going to hear bloop, 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 and then I'm going to be like, I'm going to transport out of there.
Wow. So did you guys know that, our old buddy Ziggy hit me with a drive-by this past week?
Yeah, you deserve that. I read it. You deserved it.
He got me good. Apparently, he's never watched any of my retail rip videos. I don't think he understands that my premise, I have said this from the start, is that there are a lot of content creators that rip stuff and they rip multiple boxes and they show you the best one they have. And it makes people watching it think, oh, look at all the good stuff people are pulling out of this. I'm going to go get that. They go to their local Walmart or Target. They get a box, couple boxes, take them home. They rip them. They're like, what in the hell is this? They don't get anything like what they're seeing in the videos. And my whole purpose of doing that was to show people what the actual experience is like. I never, from day one, ever said I was going to make money. Yes. Did I name it? Can I make a profit ripping retail? I did. Why? Because Sports Card Investor has a video like that. A bunch of other people did that. If you look at my thumbnail, it's kind of similar to what theirs were. It's kind of mocking what those videos are by showing people what a normal person gets. And that is pretty much 95% of the time crap. You get lucky a couple times, you might get your money's worth out of it. The whole project was not to make money. It wasn't to send the cards in to get graded to make money that way and wait however long. It wasn't to open boxes of Bowman and wait 3 years and make money on it and then come back and post a video 3 years. Like, it's just to show people that it's not really like you see it on a lot of YouTube channels. And I've been very forward and upfront. People that watch the videos know that. So I just wanted to clarify that, thankfully I had my bulletproof vest on and I'm safe. I'm good.
Jesus.
But I wanted to use my platform here to just clear some things up about that.
You are taking this the complete wrong way, Mike. This is how you should be taking it. Ziggy, in the same breath, put you and our channel with Jeff Wilson, Teapot, and Sports Card Investor. Like, it's like them and us and that other guy. But still, I mean, in the same breath. So comparing you to the Jeff Wilson, not just any Jeff Wilson, not Jeff with a J, Jeff with a G, comparing you to Jeff Wilson, comparing our channel in the same level of Sports Card Investor, that's huge. So I don't think it was a drive-by. I think it was like a crowning
Yeah, you made it, man.
Yeah, you've made it. That program has made it. So thank you to Ziggy for that. And I will say, what Mike won't tell you, what he says before every time he rips these, he texts us. He's like, "I'm about to make $1 million. I'm going to rip these. I'm going to crush it." He thinks going in every single week. Don't let him lie to you guys. Pointing. Don't let him lie to you. He's telling you. Now, me on the other hand, I have some WNBA Prism retail blasters on pre-order. I'm going to hit big. I really think I might hit big. I've been watching some YouTube content.
I have some on pre-order too, and I'm going to hit bigger than you do. Clearly.
Box battle. Let's do it. Box battle.
Joking aside, Mike goes out of his way in those videos, and it's not even like a tongue-in-cheek thing. Like, he goes out of his way to make sure people understand that he knows he's not making money. He's got actually like literally numbers at the top of the screen that say, "This is how much money I've lost doing this." But that said, I really hope that at some point you hit something like our buddy Mike Jones hit that CJ Stroud kaboom or whatever out of a blaster box. I hope you get something like that for this, just to like say, "Oh, of course I hit this."
So you can break even.
Like that.
So you can break even.
I think it'd be hilarious. I think if he actually hit something good, he would just do the most hilarious moment. So
yeah. And one of the other points I try to make is it's okay to buy this stuff if you want to enjoy it and have fun.
Yeah,
buying it because you're hoping to get that CJ Stroud that's worth a couple $1,000s out of it is a bad idea. Buying it because you enjoy ripping stuff is absolutely fine. That's kind of what retail's there for. That's why it's at a lower price point. The Marvel Masterpieces Platinum that I opened was the most fun I had out of any of that stuff that I did.
I have a hobby box waiting for you in my cart at Dave and Adams, Mike. So I'm just saying. One case. I said case, right? I meant one case waiting for you. But you know what our buddy Mike Jones didn't do once he hit that kaboom? He didn't go out and buy more retail. You know what I mean? Like,
there's no reason.
He took the huge W.
He hit that double down at blackjack on a max bet, and he got the F out of there. He was not cashing his chips. Yeah. So yeah,
I don't have that kind of luck. To pull the curtain back, I actually do what all the other YouTube channels do, and I
open
have
the other boxes
tons of it. They're just they're still just that bad.
Best of the best. Yeah.
All right. Well, last week we talked a little bit about the backyard breaks and the Grant Telford situation with his inappropriate joking. You can't. EP can leave.
Get out of here. Hold on. Beat me up.
You got to stay, Joe.
Get me the hell out of here, Scotty.
Oh, man. Okay. So anyway, we have an update on that for you. The update is that Whatnot banned Grant's personal account on there. They did not ban any of the Backyard Breaks accounts, and they said there would be no further any further information given out about it because they handle things in-house and it's done privately. So our old buddy Jeff Wilson, we give him a hard time here sometimes for some of the things he does or doesn't do, and we're going to do it again. I'm sorry, but we just are. He posted on the 4th of February. He tweeted, "I apologize for not being more aggressive in my comments." Oh my God, I can't even read. I wrote this so small, I can't read it. Okay. "I apologize for not being more aggressive in my initial comments. The hobby deserves more justice." Okay. The problem is, he's been playing both sides, and this was kind of his wrap-up tweet of playing both sides. We called him out for that last week. But then his very next tweet was, "Join Brian Gray on the Cards HQ stream on Whatnot." And here we are. The irony of the saying he wishes he would have been one way, and then the next tweet is promoting the same service that didn't really take care of anything for the hobby. Is just something that we can't not comment on, right? Joe, you look like you want to say something.
No, before I comment, for those of you, before anyone calls me out in the comments, all right? Yes, I know this uniform, it would have been Chief O'Brien would have beamed them out, but more people know Scotty. More people know Beam Me Up Scotty, so I apologize ahead of time. Okay,
Nobody
that's the most
knows.
controversial thing I'm gonna say on this podcast.
Somebody would have called it out. There's no
Someone
doubt in my
to-
mind. Somebody totally would have called
You know,
it out.
C-Town Funk would have called that
Yes.
shit out, so I had to do it before he did. Yeah, this is so. I was pull back the curtain a little bit. I was in politics before I wasn't in politics anymore, right? So this was very political. It was the most political thing I've seen. I mean, our presidential politics, I'm not going to talk about, parties and things like that, but over the last like 8 to 12 years have gotten kind of weird. Take that as you will. Before then, everyone responded to things like this. It was very, very like you really had to button your answers up. You really had to, I don't want to offend any specific voting group. I don't want to lose a vote here, lose a vote there because I'm too controversial. This is what this felt like to me. It was like someone running for office and saying, I got to kind of play both sides here because I know a lot of people who follow us on Whatnot. I know Whatnot and I have a partnership in some way, shape, or form. I know that Backyard Breaks brings them a lot of money. Very similar to the way he's not going to talk badly about Fanatics. Fanatics, they have a working relationship too. I mean, it's just over and over with this guy. He doesn't have what's best for the hobby at heart. It's a shame because when you Google trading cards or go to YouTube and look up trading card content, his is the stuff that comes up first because it's very well manicured. He's got a lot of eyeballs. That's why I bring up Ziggy again. We've gone back and forth about this, but that's why Dustin's little, complaints he has about Dustin don't mean shit to me because Jeff Wilson has 10x the amount of subscribers that Dustin has. He reaches way more people. So what he says actually, for better or for worse, matters way more in this hobby than it should. And people look to him for some guidance. Playing both sides is like it's almost like the expression, the cover up is worse than the crime. Like what Grant said was weird and gross. The like bending over backwards to try and defend it without defending it, denouncing it without denouncing it, and doing that sort of gymnastics is that's not what we need in this situation. Just have some balls. Have some balls and just call it out.
I'm not on social media a lot. And so I don't really I don't
Smart.
I limit myself on social media just because of this reason. Like a lot of times when I see something like this, I roll my eyes. So I'm just going to kind of I say that, but I'm here. I just want to make a statement. I think what was said was absolutely gross. Of course, the original statement was absolutely gross. Was terrible. I did see a couple people online. And I think we want to talk about this last week about what about the 100 employees at the at Backyard Breaks. What the bottom line is, and I forget the analogy Joe used, but the reason why that company was popular is because of the bro culture and because of stuff like this. Maybe not quite to this level, and those people got into the job, knew the popularity was because of that. There's that there eventually. Like you're gonna have to. It's gonna reach a point. You're gonna have to pay for that, and that's where we are
Dog
right
and
now.
fleas
Where we should have been. Okay, yeah, where we should have. That's where we should be right now, but we're not. I don't want. And influencers don't influence me at all because I'm not like that. It doesn't. What Jeff Wilson says doesn't affect me at all. And the problem is though I know it affects a lot of people in the hobby, and so that is definitely an issue if somebody's not taking the right stance on this kind of stuff. So. There you go. But I'm not in the weeds as much as you guys. So
yeah.
No.
Well, my issue is in this hobby. Clearly, the loudest voices speak the quietest when stuff comes up. They're the people who could affect positive change in the hobby. We're a tiny little channel. We don't even have 2,000 subscribers. There's a very small pool of people that give a shit what we have to say. We have a very little, and we shouldn't have a huge voice. I mean, we're three guys that are friends that do this because we love the hobby. But this particular situation, it is very clear that the hobby, like collectively, is in one side of this. And what he did was wrong. If he was the CEO of Target or something like that and did this, he'd be gone. He would be gone.
Imagine.
Yes, that's my issue. Like Jeff didn't have to say anything, because most of the big voices, Card Collector 2, all those types, they don't say anything. And that's why this stuff, they just wait for it to go away. Too many people that have, too many ties. All those people at the top of the hobby that are making a lot of money off it are all intertwined. They're not going to criticize each other. But Jeff was trying to position himself where he thought he could win some favor with the hobby by saying something, not realizing that what he's saying wasn't enough for those people. Like, if you're one of those people with the big voices, if you decide to play both sides, you're worse than not saying anything.
And people will pick up on that. People
Yeah,
will
they did
like, people are not
instantly.
stupid. Like, they're annoying, but they're not stupid. They can see shit like that coming from a mile away. And as soon as he saw it turn a little bit, he's like, oh shit, I now have to say something this way. Oh, it's starting to turn now. It's like he's looking at poll numbers. It really felt like that to me. He's looking at poll numbers and waiting. And this is a analogy from my government days, but we were going to build a facility in a small town. The town council was all for it. They really wanted us to come in and they really wanted us to build this. And then the residents got riled up by someone, and the residents came in and said, absolutely not. And the town council, who was all for it, was like, yeah, we're not for it either. You were for it 15 minutes ago. Like, what are we talking about here? So that's exactly what it felt like. Like, Jeff was going this one route, and he started to waver because he heard what people were saying on both sides of his ears. And he's like, how can I offend the least amount of people possible without really saying anything? I want to say a lot, but nothing at all at the same time.
Yeah. And, we pick on Neo quite a bit here, but I will say he is one of the bigger voices that used his voice during all of this. And he came out very strongly against them, said that Whatnot should be banning them. Like, he didn't sugarcoat it. I give him a lot of credit because he has over 20,000 subscribers. He's still not nowhere near Jeff and some of the bigger channels, but a lot of people watch his videos, has a lot of videos out there. And he was on this. He was on it on social media and did a video about it. So I do want to give him credit for being one of the people that had the balls to actually stand up for the right side of things. Which leads me to the next thing. Mike, myself, I got into a little bit of a Twitter beef last night. I know.
Continuation. A Twitter beef continuation.
Continuation, if you will. Because Brian Gray, who is also a big personality, a well-known person in this hobby, decided to kind of go one step further than Jeff did in his defense of backyard breaks. The fact that you have Brian Gray doing a stream on Whatnot for Jeff Wilson, and then both of them using this, they have 100 employees thing, seems a little coincidental to me, don't you think? Maybe this was the line of what they decided, how we need to defend this. My point was, Grant Telford had the responsibility to do what was right for those 100 employees that he had. Not the rest of the hobby. Us getting mad at what he did and calling for them to be banned isn't our fault. It's his fault. He had the ultimate responsibility. He needs to know their place in the hobby. We've been at the National, Joe, EP. We were at the Whatnot place and saw all the kids around there. When you're there, you see it. You're seeing this all the time. You know the people, the kids that are following you. You need to do better for your business. And I got into it because Brian Gray made the comment, he made a stupid comment about comparing it to, well, did we stop watching ABC or Netflix or anything when Harvey Weinstein got into trouble? And he got ratioed, which for you old people, that means more people were commenting on his tweet saying how dumb it was than people that liked it.
For you old people. Says the oldest person on this channel.
Hey, I know what it means. I have to explain it to the other.
I know what it means because you told me before.
I'm the coolest guy in the nursing home. But anyway, he made that stupid comment. Everybody was telling him how stupid analogy and everything. I had quote tweeted it, and he took issue with the fact that, and I called it damage control, and that, was just very misguided, and that just kept digging his hole deeper. And he said it wasn't damage control. It's just there's no reasoning with the lynch mob.
Lunch mob.
He typed as lunch mob. I insert joke there. I'm not going to say anything because look at me. But still,
fair.
Come on. I mean, now the people who are upset because somebody said sexualized comments about a hypothetical minor to try to joke, like we're the bad guys. Like, no. So I don't usually get involved in all the stuff. I didn't expect that he was going to respond. I quote tweeted him to the people that follow me just to let him see what's said. But he started quote tweeting me back, and we went at it for a bit. But I will say that at the end of it, he did admit that Grant should be gone. I said this on the podcast last week. If Backyard Breaks wants to continue as a company, he needs to go. And he agreed with that. He 100% agreed. And he did agree that Grant ultimately was the one who should have respected his 100 employees. And to have a good outcome of something that started off as a beef on Twitter felt pretty good. But I was glad to have him see that, yes, at the very least, he has to go. If they want to continue, they need to bring somebody in who's going to say, we're going to stop some of this stuff going on, and we're going to do better for the hobby. Everybody in the hobby gets better. The whole hobby gets better if that happens. That's all we want. People are upset. We're not a lynch mob. Guess what? Sometimes it's okay for a group of people that are really upset about something really bad to have a problem with that and want to affect change. There are times when it's a little ridiculous and it goes too far. But what he said, like, he doesn't deserve to be on there and talking to the kids and making these jokes again in the future. He shouldn't be allowed to be part of that business. I'm fine if the business goes on without him, but that really should be the only way it goes on. I don't think it will. I don't know that it will, but that should be. And I don't think people should give up. I'm sorry. It took up a lot of time, but I needed to get that off my chest.
Your voice is finally good. And I know EP and I were like, we're gonna let Mike rant.
Let Mike cook, man. Let him cook.
We'll let Mike cook on this one since you couldn't cook last week too much. I will say, I think if Grant leaves, Backyards will fold. I personally don't give a shit about that, whatever, fold. Because, again, to our point before, that's the culture of the people that break with them. That's the culture of most of the rest of the employees. Let's not forget, if you watch the video, no one in the comments was really upset with what he was saying. None of the employees that were there tackled him off the stage, one of which was goading him on. I mean, they are. Do I think that Grant from Backyard Breaks is a pedophile? I do not. I think he's Mr. Shock Value. But when you say shit like that, the shock can come from different directions in a negative way, negative as you perceive it.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? I've known you for 30 years. You are one of the most shocking people that I know. We joke around and have joked around with each other for 30 years. You have never come close to having anything like that come out of your mouth. So that dude needs help, right? Grant needs help. But there's something wrong with the fact that ever popped into your mind as a joke to begin with. B, you said it like there was no filter to think, you know what, even though I'm thinking this and I'm laughing at it in my head, probably shouldn't say it. So Joe, again, you are you're a funny guy. You say some things that make me laugh. But
if this company needed titles,
I say the things that everyone wants to say, and they laugh at them. But I'm the only one with the balls to just say them.
You're like Daniel Tosh. You're able to say
a little bit like that
in a sarcastic way.
Before you keep going, EP, or before you take over, EP, I just want to say that like I did bring up the James Gunn thing last week. I don't think James Gunn is a pedophile either. He said some really, really disturbing things in tweets like 10 years ago. I don't think he's a pedophile either. I think he was going, but again, my shock value and their shock value are two. Bro culture shock value is so much different. It's so toxic. And again, Florida. But anyway, I mean, like I don't think that company goes on without him because he's the reason those people go there. Now, if he like blesses the next person, but again, the next person in line might have been the guy goading him on, right?
He survived though when like the girl and the like bleached blonde hair guy left. So
yeah, I don't know.
They were the stars with the Tesla.
They were. Well, it was Grant and the bleach blonde guy were the Tesla guys. Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if Backyard Breaks goes on past this. As for Brian Gray, the one thing I will say about Brian Gray is he does respond. And for better or for worse, and you guys came to a resolution at the end, I like that he's at least willing to engage, where Jeff is just going to put his tweet out into the abyss and say, hopefully people forget about this in a couple of weeks and I won't have to deal with it. As for other folks that have been calling it out, I really hope those folks calling it out are putting their money where their mouth is, though, and not breaking with Whatnot anymore, right? Not specifically your beef is or your concern and your problem is with Backyard Breaks for sure, but Whatnot as a whole is culpable as well. So if you're going to call them out, then put your money where your mouth is and don't you dare break on Whatnot, either as a breaker or as a person buying into breaks. You know, Neo can say what he wants, and I'm glad he did. I hope he doesn't break with Whatnot going forward because I know he has in the past. And the last thing, we've talked about this for what, a half hour now, or we've been on the podcast for about a half hour now. We have yet to talk about the fact that Fanatics and Panini have still said nothing. That is worse, in my opinion. Whatnot, whatever. They're fucking Thunderdome, right? They're the Wild West. We know this. We've said this for years.
Guys selling cards with pictures of cards on,
right? Like you sent that to us. You sent us that picture. I'm like, I hate you so much. Like that was the grossest thing in the world. But you see it all the time there. Fanatics. Panini is whatever. They just need the money. They're like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to send them whatever.
We'll get to that Fanatics, in a little bit.
Yeah. Fanatics, you need to step up. This is on. I think they're the most culpable after Grant, obviously, but I think they're the most culpable. They're still sending them product, right? They haven't shut off their distribution.
Yeah, I don't know where they get their product from, but I'm assuming they must have an.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just ridiculous that nothing has been said from those two companies.
Yeah, I was just going to say that if this company, if we had badges to wear around, like Joe's would his title would be like shock value officer or something like that, 100%, or president of shock value department, something along those lines.
Everybody loves him though.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true.
Or hates me. Or hates me.
Yeah. Mike, to your point about the good outcome on Twitter, that seems like it's a very rare thing. So I'm glad that worked out that way. Yeah. So I mean, usually Twitter just ends up with two people just going farther apart with their discussion, their argument. So I think that was great. And to a couple of Joe's points, the Whatnot thing. I think Whatnot is the more culpable person here. There was a breach of contract, right? Like to me, that's one of the biggest deals. So if I'm at Whatnot, if I'm breaking at Whatnot, one of these people that's still breaking there, like, I mean, why wouldn't I challenge other parts of the terms of service if that one's going to do? And that, I mean, this is the leg.
Blake Martinez is like, I was just cutting cards, guys. Yeah. Come on. Exactly. I wasn't talking about this shit. But I agree with you, EP, but I will say, I don't know if they have a terms of service with Fanatics or Panini. I don't know if we know that. I don't know if
we do know about the Whatnot one, though. I'm saying
we do know about the Whatnot one.
And I feel like, and you were saying about, you don't know if Backyard Breaks can survive without Grant there. I agree with that 100%. But also the I guess like the cascading part of that is, will Whatnot survive if Backyard Breaks isn't there? Because they are like a huge cash cow. So that it is in their best interest to not punish them too hard.
Oh, right? Absolutely. Yeah. So that's what this is all about.
Yeah, it's all about money. Like at the end of the day, this whole entire hobby is about money. And if a box of cards was $50, we would not be having this conversation right now.
No,
right?
No, we wouldn't. Yep. All right. Well, maybe some of the cards you got from Backyard Breaks and the breaks, you might want to send a PSA But it's
EP,
going to
are
be.
you paying attention?
Are you paying attention? EP, I'm talking directly to you. It's going to be harder to get a PSA 10. PSA kind of stealthily, without any fanfare, changed the grading standard on the PSA 10. It used to be up to 60-40 centering on the front, and they changed it to 55-45. Interesting change. Personally, I think if you're going to be a PSA 10, it should be a 55-45. But there's a whole other can of worms that gets opened up by this. But very interesting that it was quietly done. PSA is not normally one that's quiet about the changes they're making.
Here's my damn hat. I didn't bring my damn conspiracy hat
How
over.
do you not have your
Son
hat?
of a gun.
But my question to you guys is now, what does this do to a PSA 10 if I can look at it and go, well, that's like 60-40. That's not a 10 anymore. Are the 10s that aren't 10s now 10s because of when they were graded before? This is a weird thing and creates a lot of uncertainty in a PSA 10 to me. I'm sure other people aren't going to care because they don't care. Oh, it says 10, so it's a 10. But you have cards that are in slabs that you graded 10 that if you took the same exact card, you wouldn't grade it a 10 now. And that has to have some kind of impact on the older graded stuff, right? Or am I reading way too much into this?
Yes.
Kind of figured.
Okay, I've got my conspiracy stuffed animal, Mr. McGiblets, with me.
Okay, good enough.
All right, Mr. McGiblets, tell me why you think they didn't make big fanfare out of this. Okay, that makes sense. The reason they didn't is they don't want people to know about it because they want people to send in their cards that are still 60-40, so they keep grading them. Of course, they're not going to tell them it's harder to get a 10. They want people to send in cards thinking, I can get it. This can get a 10. It's within 60-40. It's got a shot at a 10. And anyone who has sent bordered cards in know that it's been 55-45 for about 10 years now. Like, I'm sorry. I've sent in 90 MU cards with a distinct border that are inside 60-40 and they're not getting 10s. They are very, very strict on that. So maybe they're just now catching up to where they were actually, how they were actually grading and thought, shit, we better put that on the actual terms. In terms of old cards that are 10s, Mike, what do we say? Once they're in the slab, they're 10s forever, baby. So if you have a 10 from 1999, I would not ask them to re-slab that. I don't know if they're going to do what CGC does. When you send a comic book to CGC and ask them to re-slab it, they will regrade it. They don't just re-slab it. If they pull it out and it looks distinctly different than what it was when it was in the slab, probably has to do with that whole, shit that was going on there with people swapping out comic books. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. The problem we have in this hobby is people don't look at the actual card. We say that, I'm going to move this giblet, sorry. People say that all the time is, once you look at the label, you don't care what the card looks like. I mean, we do, obviously, the three of us and a lot of the folks that watch us do. But for the most part, if you're going to a show, I don't see anyone really looking at the card. I see people looking at the label. I see people looking at the grade, and then they move on. So will this affect anything? I don't know. It should reduce the amount of 10s. It should reduce the gem rate. Will it? Are we going to retrain, or somewhat try to retrain some of these employees to not just look at a card and think, maybe it's close enough. It's 56-40, 44. What's the big deal? I had to do the math quick in my head on that one.
I saw the smoke coming out of your ear.
Yeah, it was like, okay, I got it.
The first thing I want to bring up is that Mike is using Joe subtly in conversation, which I thought was wild. Second, so you asked what does that do to the PSA 10? I think it doesn't do anything to the PSA 10. I think, as like Joe said, it's been 55-45 for a while, unless it's a certain special card, which we've seen some of those where they're like, oh my gosh, how did that get a PSA 10?
Some pop through that are more than 60-40 anyway. Yeah.
Right. Hogan, a 101, right?
Yep.
We've talked about.
And that's going to continue. I think that is not going to change. And like I agree with Joe that they didn't announce it because of wanting to get people to send stuff in. I think it's a bad idea on their part, because I think making their PSA 10 a little more stringent for a lot of people would make them happier, because I think a lot of people there's some collectors who actually appreciate getting a 10 on a card, right? No, this
I think we're in the minority anymore.
Well, if they do, they're probably sending it back in to try to get the black label anyway, right? So yeah, let me see. I was going to say that before Joe brought it up, the 55-45 part. Like when I'm doing my grading, I'm always like centering is like one of the first things I look at. If it's not centered, I'm not sending it in, just because I feel like that's an important thing for a card. If I'm going to get it graded and I want it to be a 10, I think it needs to look like a 10. And I think a card that's not centered doesn't look like a 10 to me. So that I just push them aside, and so I'm not outside of that group that's like, oh, it's probably going to be 60-40. It could be 60-40. That's one thing that I don't mess around with. I don't even try to do that. And then the regrading thing, I listened to a podcast and they were talking about how, like, if you have a slab that is cracked and you send in to get it regraded, or send in to get it reslabbed, that they said that it gets regraded automatically. And I'm not sure about that 100%, but that would make sense that if a slab is cracked,
it's been tampered.
Well, and also if the slab is cracked, it could damage the card, stuff like that. So, and then and I believe they said that since it was a 10 and if it goes down to a 9, that they potentially give people money, the difference between the two grades based on their thing. Again, this is all I didn't. Perhaps. Yeah, their grading guarantee, like they would do that. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I don't think it doesn't change PSA 10s in people's eyes. People are still going to be. They're going to be caring about the PSA 10s. They don't, and again, they're not going to care. I know that the old label isn't quite as the old PSA label isn't quite as well liked as the new PSA label, but I still think when people see a PSA 10, no matter what the label is on there, they're still going to treat it like a PSA 10.
Well, hopefully, if you're sending your dual downtowns into PSA, they won't give any of them 10s if you send the Bijan Robinson and Michael Penix. Did you see this card? If I remember, I'll put a picture of it up here, but clearly, I mean, we know that they've been using AI to design stuff, but the football field in the background of this card, clearly done by AI. It's like the end zones are like, vertical on the card, but the lines that should be horizontal on a football field are also vertical on the card. Yes, Panini doesn't care. Like, we've been saying this for a long time. Just, okay, Joe down in design, whatever. Yeah, just, okay, that's good enough. I don't care. Just throw it out there. They don't care, but this is ridiculous. It's one of their most popular sets. What are we doing? You have to, I know they're losing the license. I know their license to print money is going to be over with. I know they're trying to make as much money as possible, but have a little bit of give the hobby a little something that you took all this from them. Don't just mail it in your last year that you're here. You don't how did nobody catch this? EP, you do a newspaper. If there was a picture of a football game when the story on the front page was about somebody being robbed, you'd probably catch that, right? Somebody, what's going on? Maybe not.
I was going to say that. I guarantee you, somebody in some design department, if they still have a design department, maybe they get rid of those people, but I guarantee you somebody's looked at that and said, what the F is this? We can't use this. I guarantee you somebody with some sort of design, some sort of artistic sensibilities looked at that and said that. And they're like, we're going to print. We don't care. We need to get it done. We need to get it taken care of. And that is exactly what happened. I guarantee you somebody said, look at this thing. We can't use this. And they let it go through. I guarantee that happened.
And because of this, have you seen no one is buying Donruss or Optic? They have totally, here's the thing, they've totally said, I am not going to try and get this down to, this is terrible what Panini is doing, and I am going to boycott any product where I can pull it downtown. Thank God. Doesn't matter. We're talking about it, and it sucks. It sucks. It's an ugly card anyway. Downtown's watch our Wednesday show. I'll tell you what won't come up on that Wednesday show. Downtown's little teaser there, but they're hideous cards regardless. I've never been a fan of them. And then to be lazy, I mean, Michael Penix has 6 fingers on both hands. It's really, really strange. The AI just went nuts on this one. Yeah, they've been doing kind of shit like this with Downtown, not specifically AI, but didn't they steal someone's artwork for Justin Herbert Downtown a couple of years ago? And that was a big thing.
Yep.
Like they don't care anymore. They're trying to print money. And guess what? It works because no one's boycotting Donruss. I made the joke, but no one's boycotting Donruss. No one's going to boycott Optic or wherever they're coming out of this year. So what are they going to do? Oh no, we should really try hard. People are not going to buy our product. Yeah, we got them hooked. We gave them the first hit of cocaine, and they're coming back. Now they're down to crack. You know, like what are we doing?
This is the definition of like a short timer, right? At work, who's given their 2 weeks notice, and they're just like, yeah, just sitting back, not doing anything.
Senioritis,
right?
Man.
Senioritis. Yep.
I think Joe actually isn't designing the card. I think Joe's in the position where he decides what goes in the set because you kind of just, well, it's like watching the movie Elf when they ship the book with the missing pages. It's like kind of ship.
Well, isn't that going to do something about the story? Yeah, but who cares? It's a kid's book and it's millions of dollars. Like they didn't care. I mean, that's where Panini's at right now.
All right. Well, speaking of millions of dollars, I hope that you have millions of dollars because if you want to buy Star Wars Galactic Antiquities, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you $3,400 a box for 1 pack with 9 cards in it.
But it's a case too.
It's a case too, a 1 box case. Couldn't you just be a box?
One pack box, 1 box case. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
That all checks out.
Yep. You get 2 base cards, 1 metal card, 5 autographs, and 1 oversized sketch card because people love oversized cards. Love them. Can't get enough of those. Joe, you've been waiting to talk about this. I feel like, I don't know if I remember this right, but I feel like you might have been watching some breaks of this where people were just pulling all kinds of bangers and getting their money's worth like every time, right?
So I got
3,400. It's not
you get a 101 and you get a 101 and you get a 101.
This product was not on my. I'm not a Star Wars fan. I'm not one of those Star Trek people who hate Star Wars. They're just 2 very different shows that have nothing in common other than being in space. So like I'm. It is what it is. So this was not on my radar until EP sent us a screen cap. Was it from Blowout? It was like $3,500 for a box, and I'm like, well, that seems like a lot for.
I think you said that can't be right. Right? Like
that's what I did. I thought it was
10 box case.
I thought it was or it was $349.99 or something like that, which still would have felt outrageous to me. And then I went on Twitter and I was looking and someone had posted like how like everything coming out of these are bangers. And I'm like, that can't be right. I mean, I'm sorry, that can't be right.
Doesn't sound
so I
right.
went and watched some breaks on Leighton and what was the final? I watched like 10 and it was like 1, 7, and 3 or 1, 7, and 2 math. It was like 1 looked like they might have made more than the 3,500. 1 was like, oh, that's pretty rough. And then there were a handful that were a tie. Like maybe they got the value. It was just, I cannot, if anyone does not see this as just a wild money grab from Topps. And I said to you guys, I'm sorry, from Fanatics. I need to stop saying Topps. It's Fanatics. And I said to you guys, I am so thankful that Star Trek is with Rittenhouse or anyone other than Fanatics, to be honest. And I even reached out to like Spidey Hits and I said, I showed him the screen cap you sent us, EP, and I said, I got to be honest, you got to be a little nervous. And he said, well, I did spend $9,000 on a case of Marvel Masterpieces. I go, how many boxes you get? He goes, 12. I go, yeah, do the math. Like, I'm sorry, like this is different. This is different. If this was a 9 or a 12 box case, like 12 of these cases, I mean, we're talking like $20,000, $15,000 to $20,000. It's just unbelievable to me. And you said it, Mike. It's a Breakers product. It's absolutely a Breakers product. Though I know some folks who had bought some for themselves and people who bought personal breaks of it. Woof. I was seeing, there was 1 box I sent you guys. There was 1 box / pack / case, whatever you want to call it, and had 2 autographs. 2 of the 5 autographs were Emily Swallow. I don't know who that is. I know she's an actress. I know she's in Star Wars. I could you imagine opening up a box of cards? Now, if you got two Samuel L. Jackson autos, okay, then we can talk. But like that's ridiculous, and I don't see where the value is at. And sketch cards, as cool as they can be, they're oversized, and they're not just like these oversized. They're like oversized. Like you need to buy a frame for them, oversized. Sketch cards don't hold value past when they first come out. Like, I don't know what you think that's going to be worth. So for me, it's a massive money grab by Fanatics. And if Mike, you're wearing your Marvel shirt. If I was a Marvel guy, I'd be really, really nervous about what Fanatics might do to that IP.
Oh, I have so many thoughts. I'm a huge absolutely like massive Star Wars fan.
How many have you bought so far?
I've bought 0.0 and I won't buy
really?
0.
Wow, shocking.
Yeah,
he bought in on some breaks on Whatnot, weirdly.
With backyard breaks.
Yeah, backyard breaks. Yeah, obviously.
I'm on record in places saying how much I love the 3 most recent Star Wars films, the sequels, the sequel trilogy. I love Star Wars in general, and so this product really is kind of upsetting. I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about how they opened 3 boxes. These people were breakers. They opened 3 boxes and they got out of their autos. They got 2 John Ratzenberger autographs. It's a Cliff Clavin from Cheers. They got 2 of those out of their 3 boxes. So they got duplicates, just like Joe was saying with the Only Swallow. She's in the Mandalorian, by the way. But so I do like the checklist is amazing. The checklist is great. They have a lot of really good. They have the big 3. They got Carrie Fisher. They have Harrison Ford, and they have Mark Hamill. Which I mean, that's saying a lot. I believe, and they have multiple autos. Some of them, I'm guessing, obviously Carrie Fisher are probably cut autos, or maybe stickers or something like that. I'm not sure, but I'm guessing they're probably one-on-ones. Are probably very limited. But if they would have done this, in my opinion, they could have printed something to the moon, a lower end product, and put some of this stuff in there, and they would have made so much money. But instead, they thought about the breakers. They thought about how can we turn this into a breaking product, and that's where the hobby is right now.
More money, like that's the problem. That if they would have done like a flagship type product and put these in as like product hits or case hits or whatever, that would have been awesome because everyone would have an opportunity. And before you keep going, I need to mention Cliff Clavin real quick. You can get into my Cheers break for $135 and have a better chance of getting a John Ratzenberger. Could you imagine opening up a $3,500 box of cards? And John Ratzenberger is probably the guy you may know the best. Yep. That's terrible.
And you know him more from Cheers.
From Cheers.
Right. He only did voices in Star Wars. Yeah.
George Takei has autographs. He only did voices. He's not known for Star Wars. It's just wild.
Yeah. And so I was thinking about it as you were talking, Joe, previously, like the $3,500 for a box, $3,500. And for 10 cards, so the average then is going to be $350 just to get into a break to possibly get 1 card, right? Like if you think about I'm not sure how they're doing the breaks, but you can't do characters because there's only going to be 10 cards. Random,
they're doing random hits.
So it's like $350, but that is like what the cost is. So it's probably $400 to get in or more to get into these breaks. And to think what the people are getting, they're not going to be close to $400. Like this is just wildly upsetting to me.
It's going to be more than $400 too. I'm sure.
Oh yeah. It maybe $500.
Yeah, probably $500, $600, $700. Yeah.
And I said to you guys, I was going to say, I said to you guys that there's a base set and there's a base like metal set out afterwards. And I can't wait for the people to start like listing those, like lots of those, because I'll put together those sets. It'll be kind of cool to put together. And they're going to be like practically throwing them away. And
they're all sealed in 1-touches. They're all sealed in 1-touches.
Every card, even the base
card is a sealed 1-touch. Yeah, and the box looks very like transcendent. That style of where you lift up a second layer, and there's the sketch card. Again, if this product was like $1,000, I'd be like, okay, I get it. It is what it is. I went to Terapeak. There isn't a lot listed. But man, oh man, like an Emperor Palpatine auto from the 1977 remake kind of set, which again looks really cool, especially if you like that 1977 design. An Emperor Palpatine on-card auto is like $300. And I saw some cases where if I saw that, I'd be like, that's the best card in the case. That right there is the best card in the case. And it's going on Terapeak for $300. I can't do the mental gymnastics to think that makes sense to buy a case or buy into a break for, $400 or $500 at best.
As a WWE collector, I'm really concerned where they're going to go with this, because the Topps Chrome release was really a big release for them. All kinds of people that I never saw talking about wrestling cards before, now on social media and stuff, are talking about wrestling. Card Purchaser was talking about wrestling cards. So like, they're going to have these kind of products. EP, remember, like, what was a year ago or so where they dropped all these base products that they were doing in baseball, and now everything new they're coming out with is breaker products. They're high-end stuff. They got rid of stuff for the average collector, so you have your couple sets that you can get, but they did away with all that to replace it with the high dollar stuff. And this isn't going to be the end of it. They're going to do it to every license they have. $3,500 a box for a Star Wars set. Like, come on.
And this is like a test product too. Like $3,500. This people are going to pay $5,000 for football or $5,000 for basketball, right? Like that's my fear. As much as I was pushing back with way back when, like episode 1 and stuff, saying they're gonna keep that flagship stuff for us. They're gonna keep archives for us. They're gonna keep Gypsy Queen, which they didn't. They're gonna keep Allen Ginzer for us. But this is the base. This is where they're starting at $3,500 with this kind of product, and it's gonna be $5,000.
Star Wars Mercury is gonna be insane. Like I said,
I wish that were a joke.
Yeah, I know,
right? It's a joke now. I'm just floating it, but it's a joke now. And the sad thing is, I mean, there are Star Wars collectors who, maybe they're completists, maybe they're a character collector. Marvel is huge on character collectors. And even if you are a character collector, someone like Sabretooth, who's like a mid-level, and I know Sabretooth collectors, like they're a mid-level character, pretty cool villain. Could you imagine a character collector trying to build out with like stuff like this coming? It's just not fair to the collectors. And I know it's a business, and I know they're about making money, but your idea, EP, of having like a base level product with some of these hits in it instead, you could print it to the moon and people would probably pay $150, $200 for it, and they'd be happy, because if they opened it, they'd at least get a full set of like base cards, and then they'd have a shot at getting a Carrie Fisher cut auto. You don't have that now.
Like if this came out at $200 a box, like I would probably buy. I would find a way to buy a case, right?
You and I would split a case, and I'm not even a huge Star Wars fan, but the product does look cool. Not $3,600 cool.
Right.
Knowing my luck, the first Mercury WWE release will be Paul Heyman, right?
That'd be hysterical.
It would be. They saw your pushback about not having him in this set. They're like, what we're gonna do? We're gonna make it up to this guy.
This Paul Heyman super collector is due here.
All right. Well, we have a bunch of 2025 Topps baseball news here. So, EP, you're gonna love this. Starting off with the announcements, they showed that both Jason Kelce and Larry David are going to have first pitch autographs in it. I want a Larry David. I might want a Jason Kelce too. I mean, that's kind of fun.
Which one would you want? Gun to your head. Which one would you?
Larry David would be my
yeah, it's Larry David. Yeah, okay.
So that's really cool. Also, there are 2 other variation cards that they announced. First one is the Frank Thomas anniversary, 35th anniversary of the Frank Thomas no name on front. So they're doing numbered to 35. They're doing different versions with no names on front variation. And they're also doing jersey number variations with, the number of the jersey just plastered all over the card. And they are numbered to only the jersey number. So if your jersey number is 2, they're only 2. If it's 35, 35. So some cool stuff here. I don't love the jersey number variation. Like, the numbers are just too many of them, and they're too bold. Like, it could have been a little more subtle.
Lying at you.
It really is. It's slaps you in the face pretty hard.
I usually go second, Mike. I'm gonna defer to EP for this. This is your playground, man. You're gonna probably buy some boxes of this.
He's
My
going to
hope
talk for
is
like
to,
2 hours now.
Yeah, I'm just gonna let him
No,
cook.
no. I mean, I disagree with you guys. I actually like the number of variations. I told you guys I thought about it. If it was what if it was Griffey, the image that Mike shared was Gunnar Henderson with the number 2, a bunch of number 2s. But I thought about what if we had the Teal Mariners number 24 and it was a Griffey card. I'd probably be excited about it. I do agree with Mike though that maybe they could have dialed back the color. Like the color is really really sharp and striking on the numbers. If they dialed that back a little bit, made them fade a little bit more, probably would have been better. But I do still like them. I don't remember if it was last week or the week before when we were talking about how Topps isn't putting stuff like this in sets, and I really feel like the Jason Kelsey and Larry David autographs are one of these like extra bonus things that they put in that it kind of fits. It's not a case hit insert set that people can complete, but it is a little something extra, a little something extra for people buying the cards. I don't know if it necessarily makes up for the difference in price, the increase in price from when I was doing the case project in 2023, but I do like them, and the variations are great. And the Frank Thomas name on front, we talked about it in the show. We saw one in person at the National. I was talking about it at our local card shop just yesterday because somebody brought it up and I said I saw one. I mean, it's just like that is like this like unicorn type card, and I love that they're the 1990 Topps is the anniversary set this year. I love that they're doing something with the no name on front. I was hoping they would, and I'm very excited about that. And I think isn't the rumor
excited.
that
He's like kid in
happy.
candy store.
He is.
I believe isn't the rumor like the no name on front Frank Thomas is only 25 to 35 of them in the world, so numbering those to 35 is actually also a very fun way to do that. So yeah, was very excited. Thank you, Joe, for letting me talk about it, and I was excited.
I wanted you to go first so I could yuck some of your yums here later.
That's what we do. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. I will say, this is if you kind of put me in a medically induced coma, right? And I didn't know.
That's true.
Yeah, tonight definitely. But if you did that and you didn't tell me all the other things Fanatics has done to this hobby, and you just woke me up and showed me this, I'd be like, that's awesome. They must care about the collector. They must love collectors, and they must be doing everything they can to make collectors happy, because this set, I'm not a baseball guy, and I'm not going to open any, but I'm going to be putting on my watch list that Larry David auto. Like Mike and I might be fighting over some. Like I could totally see that, because Larry David, I'm not going to say what he's famous for, but he's great in Curb Your Enthusiasm as well, obviously. Sorry, Bob. But anyway, to yuck your yum a little bit, I will say the Frank Thomas thing is cool. Someone on Twitter called it innovative, and I'm like, okay. I mean, this is not like
they've been doing these anniversary sets for years, man. That's not
anniversary numbered Frank Thomas, no name in front. None of that is innovative. I mean, maybe
and you're doing a set based on something you screwed up to begin with. That's not really innovation.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, at least it's their own IP. It's not like the Billy Ripken where they were stealing someone else's. But I'm glad they're using their own here in this case. The number thing, again, it is in your face. It would have been kind of cool if they would have put the player's number that number of times. Like, so someone with number 2 would have 2 numbers somewhere, and then someone with like number 70 would
like
have
99.
Just like a bunch of numbers in there.
I would do that.
I know that would be kind of fun. But again, none of this is really super innovative, and I'm fine with it because it's flagship. It is what it is. You're going to pay whatever you're going to pay a box. It's not going to break the bank, and you're probably going to have fun with it. And that's what that product is for. I just wish they did more than just one. I wish they did more than one product like this, because set builders, collectors who don't have $3,500 to spend on Star Wars antiquities, people like that, EP, you're probably going to buy a handful of boxes. I mean, people like that need products like this, and I think this is so few and far between. It's just a bummer.
Well, there's going to be a lot of it out there to buy, thankfully. They added all this stuff because they had a lot of room to put it in. The numbers, this comes from Topps Production BB. They're at Topps BB on Twitter. They do, like, they count up the number of cards that they do every year. This year, Well, let's start in 2024. In 2024, there were 304.2 million base cards in flagship tops. This year, there's going to be 414.6 million, which is less according to EP's Southern Columbia map. No, it was the inserts.
It was the inserts. Yeah, it was the inserts. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the. I was going to say that was hysterical.
But that's like
by
a
the way.
over 25% increase in the base card. Insert cards, there were 52.1 million in 2024, and there are 54.6 million. So they're getting close to 500 million base cards. It's tops. I don't have a problem with this. This is their flagship. It's kind of funny because they've gotten rid of all the other stuff. So like they're just pretty much trying to put everything they come up with for the lower end stuff in one set. But at the same time, that's kind of cool for collectors because it is still something you can afford to buy multiple boxes. I'm going to buy a couple of these. I'm not going to lie to you. I think I'm going to buy a couple. It might be fun to rip. It's not that expensive. And they print a lot of it, but hey, I was around in the 90s. This is really not a big deal to me because
and at least we know. We kind of know. In the 90s, we didn't know. And to your point, Mike, and EP has said this. I give him full credit on this one by saying, I want flagship to be overprinted. Like I want everyone to have an opportunity to get into flagship, to build sets, do whatever they want. I hope breakers actually build sets with this and sell them and not just throw them in the trash, which I believe we talked about a year ago or maybe 2 years ago at this point when a flagship came out. It's I don't mind this one being so heavily printed, but I will again yuck some yums. I mean, it's all a shell game, right? I mean, you print more so you can jam in more inserts, or you jam in more inserts or make more inserts so you can print more and more and more. And I'm guessing they're not putting more cards per pack or more packs per box. So they're going to be pallets of cases of this stuff out there. If they do it with Topps flagship, it's fine. But when they start doing it with Topps Chrome, Bowman Chrome, things like that, I think that's when we have to start to worry. And it wouldn't shock me if they do that.
They make a lot of that too.
Yeah, they make
yeah. So yeah, there it is. So I mean, at the end of the day, they're just going to keep printing. It's fine for flagship, but when they're doing it for everything, that's kind of a red flag.
Yeah, there was a couple weeks ago. I think it was a couple weeks ago. I said I was trying to remember the analogy for describing. We were talking about like half a billion of cards. The analogy of the difference between a million and a billion. And I saw it again. It is a million seconds is 11 days. A billion seconds is 31 years. So the difference between 1 million and 500 million is, I mean, you're talking like the difference between days and years. Like it is unbelievable to think about how many cards are going to be out there. Again, I agree 100% though. Like this is the product to do it with. Like if you're going to do it with a product, like do a flagship, make sure everybody who wants to get it can get it, and make sure that the kids who are just getting into it can get into it, and the adults who are just getting into it can get into it. Like just make it good. I think the regular Hoppy boxes are $99. The jumbos are, again, I think they're like 190 or 200, something like that. So those prices are up. You get a lot more stuff out of those. I'm sure the breakers are all going to be buying the jumbo boxes, where the $99 boxes are more. They're probably thinking more of those are for the collectors. Even though there are probably not a lot of people, I said last week that there's not a lot of collectors left, I don't think, at Topps/Fanatics.
That's true. And, they also dropped another cheap product this week. Topps Dynasty Baseball dropped in. That's really cheap. It dropped at...
Is that true? Well, yeah, I don't think it's cheap.
They were on the website, Topps website, for $109 a box.
No. Somebody moved the decimal point at some point.
All kinds of people placed orders for Topps Dynasty Baseball for $109 a box. And then
they were canceled.
They canceled a little later because apparently it was probably supposed to be like $10.99 a box. Yeah, but yeah, they dropped them on the website at $109 a box.
I just
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I need to make this analogy really, really quick, because there was this great NBC comedy. Okay. Great. Everyone liked it. All right, this is one of my favorites. There was an episode of Superstore, okay? And I love Superstore. It's a great NBC comedy. It was the first episode, and the new employee accidentally repriced everything. Instead of making everything 25% off, they made everything 25 cents. And people were trying to buy like big screen TVs, and they're running towards the front of the store and paying for this stuff. And employees are chasing them and trying to bring it back. And I'm like, I mean, when you said this thing, I'm like, well, Fanatics will just cancel it. They're not going to send this stuff out. I mean, they're the employees at the front of the store saying, no. You're not getting this for 25 cents. That's exactly what I thought when I saw this. And it's wild. Just at this point, come on, Fanatics, just own it. Just let people buy it. Let people benefit from your mistake.
Could you imagine being the person running the website who hit the button without hitting the extra zero or whatever on there? Yeah, like throwing up. Like, oh my god.
Oh, they updated their LinkedIn, I'm sure.
Yeah,
they are looking for other employment. Panini is hiring. I'm sure Panini might hire them.
I did see somebody on social media complaining, saying they should honor these because that's the price that they put them at. It's like, that's not really how it works.
That's not not how anything works, man.
There are even laws that state that, like, if you know something is an error, that they don't have to honor that. But yeah, come on, you knew you weren't getting Topps Dynasty at 109, although a lot of people ordered it.
Oh, I bet.
Figure, hey, what the heck? I would have done that too. Why not? See, maybe it'll go through.
It's through. Who knows?
Well, that wasn't the only mistake they made.
What?
They have this other really now this, I mean, it's not a big deal because it's a low end set. It's called Definitive, and you know what is that EP like?
That's not a low end.
$40 a box too. Like that's lower end than Dynasty, isn't it?
No.
So you're what is it, like 200 then? Like
no.
Oh, well, I think it might actually be the most expensive set they make, isn't it? So
I believe so.
Yeah, they had our old buddy Jackson Merrill that we talk about all the time on the podcast here.
Or Holiday.
One or the other, yeah. One or the other. His one-of-one logo patch card was pulled. It's listed on eBay. Only problem is it has a picture of the wrong guy on it. I guess it's Kyle Higashioka. I don't know him.
They didn't even make it another Jackson. There's like 3 or 4 Jacksons. Andrew Jackson would have made more sense.
They have the wrong guy. Clearly a right-handed hitter when Jackson Merrill, the left-handed hitter. Yeah, they've done this before too. I'm sorry, you have this set of cards that you're selling for ridiculous amounts of money. You're making a one-of-one, taking a really cool game used. It has like the old logo of the Padres on it. It's a great looking card, and you have the wrong picture of the guy. Like, you collect Jackson Merrill, you don't want that. It's not him. Like, what are we doing? Like, how did these mistakes happen in that set? But keep in mind, Topps is owned by the same company that send out jerseys with the wrong numbers, the wrong names, wrong teams. This is going to be the norm because we clearly they show that they don't care in the jersey business and stuff. This happens all the time. Now it's happening in cards. I don't think it's a coincidence.
I'm going to let EP defend this before I respond.
Oh, I'm not defending this.
Come on, EP.
We just got done. We just got done crapping on Panini for their downtown art stuff. Yep. This is literally the same thing, and Topps has been doing this like even before Fanatics took over. Like this has been going on forever. Like this is them not having having collectors and having artists and having designers and having people that know what the F they're doing, designing the cards and putting these things together, and not having people check to make sure that they are the right photos of the right players. Like, how do they don't have anybody in the office that's a baseball fan? Like, just take a second and look at that. Like to me,
they got me running the baseball department. What the hell is happening over there?
You're an expert, though.
Like Panini, I'm not saying we're giving them a pass, but Panini's checking out. Senioritis, right? They put in their 2-week notice. They're ready to go. the leagues told them, we're good. We don't want you anymore. Go away. All right. Okay. So they get kind of a pass on that. Strap in. 20 years, baby. Right? The I say this all the time, broken record, but the smallest contract length is 20 years, I believe. Might be 15. But still, double digits, right? And there's no one that can come in and try and challenge them like someone came in and challenged Panini for 15 to 20 years. This is it. And if they screwed up a downtown, how many downtowns are made between all the parallels and blah, 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 blah. Tyler Simmons and I, friend of the channel, got kind of into it a little bit about how rare ultra modern inserts actually are. This is a 101 with a pretty significant patch on it. Game
It's a big card, yeah.
It's a big card. And you're putting the guy who they used Tom Brady body for. I mean, I don't even know who this cat is. I don't know what's going on with this. So you're taking this 101, this big card, this game use thing with a really, really cool patch. You're putting the wrong player on it. How does this happen? The reason it happens is no competition. This is what happens when you have zero competition in the space. Fanatics is the same way in their jerseys and their shirts and everything. They have zero legitimate competition in the space. It's not a monopoly legally, but it really feels like one in your heart and soul, doesn't it?
Joe, and also you keep saying we're going to 20 years of this, but like who's going to come in and go over top of them that they're not going to match the amount in 20
Well,
years?
I'm saying minimum 20 years, but yeah,
right,
yeah.
Right, but I mean, like,
minimum. The only way they lose it in even 20 years is if they get tired of it, if they're not making money.
Right.
If they don't turn their breaking business, their auction business, their gambling business, if they're not turning a profit, then they'll get rid of it. But yeah, you're right, EP. In 20 years, no one's going to be able to financially come in and challenge them. Where again, Panini had to re-up every 5 years, and someone could have come in, and someone did.
Yeah, they're turning people into gamblers, so they're going to be fine. Like the hobby can do whatever, but the people that want that fix are still going to be wanting that fix. So gambling doesn't go away, never has, never will. You turn the collectors into gamblers, you're set. So pretty brilliant in a diabolical way, but hey, I don't know. I think we had a pretty good chat here. I think we're done. I don't know. Again, I have another plane I have to catch this week, so I have to get out of here. So
he's going to the Super Bowl. He's flipping the coin. He's one of the honorary.
Yeah. I have to get there really quickly because I'm a well-known Eagles fan and I'm rooting for the Eagles, and I don't know if they won or lost by the time you're watching this, but I'm rooting, and it'll probably be a bad call that blows the game for him. But hey, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't have a hat.
You don't.
Other than that, that was a pretty good chat this week, and I will see you next week. Take care, guys.
See you, boys.
Adios.